The year is 1258. And the Tigris River is not running blue. It is running black. Not from mud. Not from rain. From ink. Millions of books. Centuries of knowledge. The greatest library on earth, the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, torn page by torn page into the water. Scholars say the river turned black for days. Some say longer. And somewhere in that darkness, a young man watches from a rooftop. His name is Nazir. He is not a general. Not a king. He is a student. A keeper of books. A ghost in his own city. The Mongol horses have filled every street. The screams have stopped. Not because the killing ended. Because there was no one left to scream. Nazir holds one book against his chest. Not a Quran. Not poetry. Something smaller. A medical text written 200 years earlier by a man named Ibn Sina. He does not know it yet. But that book will travel further than Baghdad. It will cross mountains. Oceans. Centuries. It will land in a cold European university. And it will wake up the world. But first, he has to survive. 2 days earlier, the sky above Baghdad was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that happens before everything changes. The House of Wisdom stood at the center of the city. Not a building. A kingdom of paper. Mathematicians from Persia. Astronomers from India. Philosophers from Greece, translated into Arabic, commented on, improved, rewritten. While London was a muddy village with wooden huts, Baghdad had running water, street lamps, and a library that employed hundreds of full-time translators. The head librarian was a man named Al-Tusi. He had seen empires rise and fall. But even he did not see this coming. On January 29th, the Mongol army surrounded the city. 200,000 horsemen. Siege engines that could throw boulders the size of a man. And a leader named Hulagu, grandson of Genghis Khan, who had promised his mother he would burn every book that did not agree with the sky gods. Baghdad had no army left. The Caliph had made a fatal mistake years earlier. He stopped paying the soldiers. Thought diplomacy would save him. Thought his title would protect him. Titles do not stop arrows. On February 10th, the walls fell. Not with an explosion. With a crack. Then silence. Then the sound of 10,000 boots moving together. Nazir was in the library when he heard it. He was 19 years old. He had spent 3 years copying manuscripts by hand, candlelight burning his eyes, ink staining his fingers. He knew every room. Every shelf. Every book that was missing. When the first Mongol soldier entered the courtyard, Nazir ran. Not because he was a coward. Because someone had to remember for the next 7 days, the Mongols burned and drowned and buried the greatest collection of human knowledge ever assembled. Astrology. Medicine. Engineering. Poetry. Maps of stars no European had ever seen. Surgical techniques that would not appear in Paris for another 400 years. The Tigris ran black with ink. Eyewitnesses wrote that a horse could walk across the river on the backs of floating books. And here is the part history books leave out. The Mongols did not burn everything because they hated knowledge. They burned it because they were afraid. Hulagu believed that books contained magic. Spells. Words that could summon armies. He was not wrong, just wrong about which books. The magic was never in the spells. The magic was in the math. The astronomy. The medicine. The idea that a disease could be treated with a herb instead of a prayer. That an eclipse was not a monster eating the sun but a calculation. That the earth moved around the sun, written 700 years before Galileo was born. That knowledge was magic. And the Mongols killed it. Or so they thought. Nazir escaped through a tunnel the librarians had built years earlier. Not for war. For fire. Baghdad had burned before. Librarians are paranoid people. They have to be. He emerged outside the city walls, covered in ash, holding one book. The Canon of Medicine by Ibn Sina. 1,000 pages of human anatomy, disease treatment, drug formulas, and surgical procedures. The most advanced medical textbook on earth. Behind him, Baghdad burned. Ahead of him, the desert. Bandits. Hunger. And a journey of nearly 4,000 miles. He walked west, not toward Mecca. Toward something he had only heard about in stories. A place called Andalusia. Muslim Spain. The other great library of the world. But getting there meant crossing the entire Mongol Empire, then Crusader territory, then Byzantine land, then Muslim kingdoms that had never heard of Baghdad or its books. He had no money. No horse. No weapon. He had one book. And a memory of everything he had read. The first 3 months were the hardest. He traveled with merchants who almost killed him for the book. He slept in abandoned mosques where the floors were still warm from fires. He ate bread so hard it cut his gums. Near the city of Mosul, a group of bandits stopped him. They wanted his shoes, his cloak, his book. Nasir did something strange. He opened the book and began reading aloud, in a language they did not understand. Latin. He had learned it from a visiting scholar years earlier. The bandits froze. They had never heard anything like it. They thought he was a magician. They let him go. Took only his left shoe. That moment, a 19-year-old boy reading a medical textbook in Latin to illiterate bandits, is the moment the Islamic Golden Age did not die. It just moved. By the time Nasir reached Damascus, he had walked nearly 800 miles. His feet were scarred. His eyes were sunken. But he had memorized entire sections of the canon. He could recite treatments for fevers, broken bones, infections, even mental illness, things European doctors would call demon possession for another 500 years. In Damascus, he found shelter in a small mosque library. The librarian there was an old man named Faraj who had heard rumors of Baghdad but did not believe them until Nasir walked through the door. Faraj looked at the canon of medicine. Then he looked at Nasir. Then he wept. Not for the book. For the boy who carried it. Faraj gave Nasir a new pair of shoes. A bag of dates. And a warning. The road to Andalusia goes through Crusader land. The Christian knights do not like Muslims. They do not like books. And they definitely do not like boys carrying knowledge that makes their own kings look like illiterate children. Nasir went anyway. He crossed into Crusader territory near the coast of modern-day Lebanon. The castles there were white stone, new, proud. Built by men who had come from Europe to fight for a strip of land they called holy. Nasir did not look like a warrior. He looked like a ghost. Thin. Dark. Carrying nothing but a wrapped bundle under his arm. A patrol stopped him. 3 knights on horses. Chainmail. Swords. The kind of men who killed first and asked questions later. The leader spoke broken Arabic. Who are you? Where is your army? Why are you here? Nasir said nothing for a long moment. Then he opened the book, pointed to a drawing of the human heart, and began explaining, in broken Latin, then French, then Italian, how blood moves through the body. How the heart is a muscle, not a seat of the soul. How a wound to the left side of the chest kills faster than a wound to the right. The knights did not understand all of it. But they understood enough. This boy was not a spy. He was not a soldier. He was something they had never seen before. A living library. They let him pass. One of them gave him a piece of dried meat. That moment, a Christian knight feeding a Muslim boy who carried a book that would one day save Christian lives, is not in any crusade history. Because it does not fit the story. The story needs enemies. Clean lines. Good and evil. History is never that clean. Nasir reached Andalusia in the spring of 1260. He had walked for nearly 2 years. He had lost 2 toes to frostbite in the mountains. He had been robbed 3 times. He had almost drowned crossing a river near Toledo. But he arrived. Andalusia was not Baghdad. But it was close. The libraries of Córdoba held 400,000 books when London held a few hundred. The streets had lamps. The hospitals had running water. The scholars spoke Arabic, Hebrew, Latin, and a new language called Spanish that was just being born. Nasir walked into the library of Córdoba and placed the canon of medicine on a reading table. The librarian asked where it came from. Nasir said, "Baghdad." Before the fire. The room went silent. Within a year, the canon was being copied by hand. Dozens of copies. Then hundreds. Within a decade, it had crossed into Europe through Toledo, where Christian, Jewish, and Muslim translators worked side by side in a translation factory that history forgot. By 1300, the canon of medicine was in every major European university. Paris, Oxford, Bologna, Salerno. Doctors who had never heard of Baghdad, never heard of Ibn Sina, never heard of Islam, were learning from a Muslim book written 400 years earlier. By 1500, the canon had been printed on Tenberg's press. Dozens of editions. Tens of thousands of copies. It became the standard medical textbook in Europe for 500 years. By 1600, European medicine had surpassed the canon. Discovered new things. Corrected old errors. Built on top of Muslim knowledge like a house built on a foundation that no one remembered digging. And by 1800, the canon of medicine was forgotten. Not because it was wrong. Because it was Muslim. And the story of modern science needed a new origin story. Greece. Rome. Renaissance. Enlightenment. No Baghdad. No Ibn Sina. No 19-year-old boy walking 4,000 miles with a book under his arm. That is the library they burned twice. Once in Baghdad. And once in history. But here is the truth. And this is the part nobody tells you. Nasir never became famous. He never wrote his own book. He never commanded an army or ruled a city. He died in Andalusia, poor, unknown, buried in an unmarked grave. No one recorded his death. No one wrote his name in a history book. He was a mailman. A delivery boy. A donkey with a book. And he changed the world more than most kings. Because knowledge does not die when you burn the library. Knowledge dies when no one is willing to walk through the desert to carry it somewhere else. Nasir walked. And because he walked, a doctor in Paris in 1350 knew how to set a broken bone without causing infection. A surgeon in London in 1450 knew how to remove a bladder stone without killing the patient. A medical student in Bologna in 1550 knew that the heart pumps blood, not air, not spirit, not magic. That knowledge came from Baghdad. Carried by a boy whose name we do not know. We only know the book survived. Think about that for a moment. Everything you know about modern medicine. Vaccines. Surgery. Antibiotics. The entire edifice of human health, it stands on a foundation that includes a Muslim man named Ibn Sina and an anonymous boy named Nasir. And their names are not in your textbooks. Not because they did not matter. Because someone decided they did not fit the story. The story of the Islamic Golden Age is not a Muslim story. It is a human story. Mathematicians who invented algebra so you could build skyscrapers. Astronomers who mapped the stars so you could navigate oceans. Physicians who figured out that washing your hands before surgery saves lives, 600 years before a European doctor named Semmelweis was laughed out of his hospital for suggesting the same thing. They were Muslim. Yes. But they were also scientists. Thinkers. Human beings who looked at the world and said, we can understand this. And then the world burned their books. Drowned their libraries. Forgot their names. But the books came back. Because someone always walks. There is a lesson here that is not religious. It is not political. It is purely human. Knowledge is fragile. A fire can erase 1,000 years in a week. A conqueror can burn 1,000,000 books in a day. A historian can leave out an entire civilization in a single sentence. But knowledge is also stubborn. It hides in the memory of a 19-year-old boy. It walks through mountains in worn-out shoes. It crosses enemy lines with nothing but a book and a prayer, not to God, but to the future. The future listened. And now you know the story that history buried. The library they burned twice. The boy who walked. The book that refused to die. There are more stories like this. Not just from Baghdad. From Cordoba. From Cairo. From Samarkand. From Timbuktu. From every place where someone decided that knowledge was worth more than safety. That understanding the world was more important than surviving it. Most of those stories are still buried. But not all of them. Not anymore.